Okay, so this is the last part of 8.6, which remember I said your first step always is looking for a greatest common factor. So now you're going to be intertwining problems that will have a greatest common factor, so you really need to get in the habit of looking to see if you can divide them all by some number. So look here, I have 18x squared, negative 33x, and 12. I can divide all of those numbers by 3, so in this instance I have a greatest common factor of 3. If you remember, when I have a greatest common factor of 3, I wrote in parentheses what was left over. That's why we practiced that particular skill. So here is my first step now. Now what you're going to do is just ignore that 3, and this is the polynomial that you will use for the slide divide bottoms up. So what you're going to do next is just follow the same process that you were doing before. So the 3 will stay out in front, and I will slide that 6 over so that it now becomes x squared minus 11x plus 24. After I slid, I found factors so that I could factor it out. So factors of 24 that would add or subtract to negative 11. So I would use negative 8 and negative 3. So now my polynomial says 3 times the quantity x minus 8 and x minus 3. If you remember, next step was divide by the number I slid, so I'm going to divide both of these by 6 and reduce those fractions. 8/6 will reduce to 4/3, 3/6 will reduce to 1/2. Notice my 3 has not left, it stays on that outside, okay? So then I'm going to bottoms up, and so then I end up getting 3 still on the outside, but then I bottoms up the 3 and the 2, and I get 3x minus 4 and 2x minus 1. So the only difference is you have that greatest common factor, and you won't recognize those particular problems because they'll be intertwined with other problems that just have a greatest common factor of 1. So you really have to pay attention to what it is. Okay, try the next problem and see if you can do it. Okay, on the got it question, I'm looking to see if I have a greatest common factor, which I see they're all even, so I can at least divide by 2, but I end up being able to divide everything by 4. So my greatest common factor is 4, and then the polynomial, that is left on the inside is what you'll be using for the slide divide bottoms up. So I slide over my 2 so that now it becomes x squared minus 9x minus 10. I'm going to factor it out, so I'm going to find factors of negative 10 that would add or subtract to negative 9. So I'm going to use positive 1 and negative 10. Notice my 4 stays out there the entire time. It's not going away. So now I'm going to come back and divide by the number I slid, which is 2, and then I'm going to reduce my fractions. 1/2 will not reduce, 10/2 will reduce to 5. So here's what I currently have. Then I see that fraction and I'm going to have to bottoms up that 2. So now I end up with 4 times the quantity 2x plus 1 times x minus 5. Now the reason why it's so important to keep that 4 out there is because if I were to times these and then times everything by 4, I have to get back to my original. So if you don't put that 4 in there, you won't get back to your original to it. So you want to make sure that you include that greatest common factor. Alright, go ahead and start your assignment.